A piece of fur is rubbed with a rubber rod, leaving the rod with a charge of negative 1.4 nanocoulombs. What is the electric force if the rod is placed 4 centimeters away from the fur? And then they give you this hint right here about what would the charge be that's left on the fur. And that's a hint to help you figure out what the other charge is. Well, I have Coulomb's constant, 8.99 times 10 to the e times 10 to the 9. And let's see, I do have a Q1 equals negative 1.4 nano coulombs. And now this N stands for nano, and actually it represents a scientific notation of times 10 to the negative 9 coulombs. Now, let's go back to our hint. If we know that the rubber stick has a negative 1.49 nanocoulombs, where'd those electrons come from? Well, they had to come from the fur. And so if we have an excess of electrons on the rubber, we have a deficiency of electrons in the fur. And so we can say that it has exactly the same charge, but at the opposite sign. So it also has positive 1.4 times 10 to the negative 9 coulombs. Now we have a distance as well, and it is 4 centimeters. And once again, this prefix centi means scientific notation, so we can write this as 4 times 10 to the negative 2 meters. We're looking for an electric force here again, and so that's in newtons. Now if I replace numbers for letters, force C equals 8.99 E 9 times negative 1.4 times 10 to the negative 9. You can write it in either the E notation or the times 10 notation. And so I'll try this one with the E notation. They mean exactly the same thing, it's just writing it in a different format. And then divided by 4 times 10 to the negative 2, but I have to square that. Now if I simplify the top, I believe I get negative 1.76204 times 10 to the, or E notation, negative 8. All of that over, when I simplify the bottom, I get 1.6 times 10 to the negative 3. When I put that in my calculator, I get a calculator answer of negative 1.101275 times 10 to the negative 5. And then for simplicity's sake, 1.10. And then once again, there's 3 ways in which you can write this. They all mean the same thing. You can write it using the times 10 notation, or you can write it using the E notation, or you can actually expand it out to represent all of the zeros. Any of those 3 numbers is a correct representation of the correct answer.